David Cameron made her Home Secretary, a post she held for longer than anyone else in modern times.
She's got a string of great achievements to her name, championing modern slavery legislation, making sure more women got involved in politics, and of course serving as Prime Minister as well. She can hold her head high.
She became Prime Minister at one of the most turbulent periods in British political history.
Brexit means Brexit, and we're going to make a success of it.
A simple slogan, but a promise she couldn't fulfil. Mrs May had gambled on a general election, but lost the Conservatives their majority.
Boris last week did well.
Attempts to reassert her authority didn't always go according to plan. Her message during this conference speech lost amid a catalogue of interruptions, a prankster, a faulty set, and persistent cough. She was forced to ask the EU for a delay to Brexit, and after months of pressure from her own MPs, she decided to step down.
I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
I think the country, and indeed the Conservative Party, would be in a better place today if it had gone with her deal, and we would have had much calmer times.
Former Prime Ministers don't usually criticise successors, but Mrs May made an exception for Boris Johnson's behaviour during COVID lockdowns.
Well, either my right honourable friend had not read the rules, or didn't understand what they meant, and others around him, or they didn't think the rules applied to number 10. Which was it?
It's no surprise that Theresa May chose her local newspaper here in Maidenhead to announce that she's standing down. She's been the MP here for 27 years, and colleagues today praised her decency, dedication and sense of public duty. Theresa May will leave the Commons for the last time when the general election is called, and says she'll concentrate on her campaign against modern slavery. Vicky Young, BBC News, Maidenhead.
At the Oscars this weekend, the film Oppenheimer has the most nominations, but it is Barbie that is arguably the people's favourite as the highest-grossing film of last year. It's made by Warner Brothers, whose chief executive, has been speaking exclusively to our in Travel in Los Angeles about Oscar snubs and the state of the film industry.
We are in full production right now.
I'm on a behind-the-scenes tour on the lot at Warner Brothers.
Casablanca.
Casablanca
was right here. We see Rick and Elsa sitting outside a Parisian cafe.
These are some of Hollywood's most famous streets.
Well, my work is done.
The Dream House was in there. Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House was inside there.
This is where I live.
Barbie was the biggest grossing film of the year, but Greta Gerwig wasn't nominated for a Best Director Oscar.
What happened here?
And Margot Robbie isn't up for Best Actress, which has got to hurt if you're Pam Abdi, one of Hollywood's most powerful women.
Of course it does, you know? Of course I want to see all of them get recognized. They deserve it.
Do you think the Academy voters are sexist?
I don't want to say that they are sexist. We're really grateful that it ignited audiences around the world, and it's made $1.4 billion and has smashed so many records.
Margot Robbie now has a key to the lot. An old Warner tradition revived by Abdi and co-chair Michael DeLuca.
He found a couple of the old keys on eBay, actually, and we bought them, and Margot's is actually Marilyn Monroe's key. I love it. I love walking around the lot.
Abdi and DeLuca were hired 2 years ago with a mission to restore the studio to its glory days. Warner Brothers hasn't won a Best Picture Oscar since Argo in 2013.
That's a while ago.
It is. What are you going to do to change that?
Pick some movies and hopefully win Best Picture.
Is that always the aim?
You know, it's the Academy. It's like the dream, you know.
This year's Oscar favourite is Oppenheimer. Its director Christopher Nolan spent most of his career at Warner Brothers, but walked away in 2020, furious at the decision to put movies straight onto the studio's streaming service.
So do you think Warner got that wrong when it came to Christopher Nolan?
I can't judge what they were doing. You know, we were in the middle of a global pandemic. You know, I can only speak to...
They lost their biggest star.
Yes.
They've lured some big names like Tom Cruise, and Abdi insists they're committed to giving films cinema time before streaming them. But for many, there's only one question.
Are we going to get a Barbie too?
I mean, we'd love to.
Are you talking to Greta about Barbie too?
Yeah, we're always talking about it. I think right now we're just so happy this week to be celebrating Barbie's success.
Oscar night's success for Barbie looks uncertain. A surer bet that these streets, this lot, will be coming soon to a cinema near you. Katie Razzle, BBC News, Los Angeles.
And just to tell you, you can hear Katie's full interview with Pam Abdi on the media show. That's available on BBC Sounds. That takes us into a look at the weather as we approach the weekend. Hello to Chris Forbes.
Hi Jane. Well, today it was a largely dry day, although the amount of cloud we had varied a lot from place to place. Plenty of sunshine across southern England, and then now we've got to 12 degrees in Hampshire, 13 in parts of Sussex. But for the North Sea coast, a different story. A lot of cloud, and for much of the day, temperatures struggled at around 6 degrees. And then, did you know the UK has only one named local wind? It's called the Helm wind, and it's blowing at the moment. Look at this, winds over northeast England, 24 miles an hour. So what? 73 miles an hour over the tops of the Pennines, and those strong winds coming across Crossfell get pulled down into the Eden Valley, where at the moment we've got gusts of wind of 57 miles an hour. So those winds are around 2 or 3 times the strength of the winds elsewhere across northern England, the Helm wind. Now, through the rest of us overnight, it will stay quite blowy. There's going to be a lot of cloud around with some pulses of rain gradually pushing northwards and westwards. None of the rain's going to be particularly heavy. Temperatures 4 to 7 degrees Celsius overnight. The weekend's weather prospects dominated by this low pressure to our south. It will be throwing up bands of rain at times across the UK. It won't be raining all the time, mind you. Saturday, for example, we start off with a bit of rain across south-west England, Wales, probably the Midlands and northern England. That will turn to move northwards to reach Scotland and Northern Ireland through the afternoon. But at the same time, it should brighten up across East Anglia, south-east England and the Midlands, with some hazy sunny spells coming through. Could see temperature up to 13 degrees in that sunshine. But across these North Sea coasts, cold again, particularly in the wind. Temperatures again just around 6 or 7 degrees Celsius. Now on the whole, Saturday does look like being the better of the 2 days of the weekend, because Sunday we've got rather more extensive outbreaks of rain moving across the UK, some of which could be quite heavy, and because it's going to be quite cloudy, still with those cold winds coming over from the cold North Sea, temperatures just 6 or 7 degrees once again for those eastern areas, well below average, but even elsewhere, 10 or 11 is a bit below average for the time of year generally. Jane.
Chris, thanks so much, and that is BBC News at 10 for tonight. Now, of course, time for the latest, wherever you are, from everyone here. A very good night.
Thanks, Jane. I'm Amy Cole, and you're watching Midlands Today. Good evening. An inquest has found that multiple failings allowed a man with severe mental health problems to be freed from prison without supervision months before he fatally stabbed a student in Birmingham and injured 7 others. Jacob Billington was on a night out when he was killed in 2020. His family say they don't believe that any changes have been made to prevent something similar from happening. From Birmingham Coroner's Court, Phil Mackey reports.
Jacob Billington was just 23 when he was fatally stabbed on a night out with friends.
I could save the world tomorrow.
He was described as a talented musician with a fantastic personality. On the same night, Jacob's best friend Michael suffered life-changing injuries and 6 other people were stabbed as a major emergency was declared in Birmingham. The man responsible was suffering from paranoid schizophrenia and had a history of violence. Zephaniah McLeod was considered extremely dangerous and a risk to the public, but when he was released from prison a few months earlier, none of the agencies who should have been responsible for his care had come up with a plan. In fact, they didn't even know where he was for 4 months. The Birmingham coroner Louise Hunt said that in the future there should be much more joined-up thinking when dangerous prisoners like McLeod are released.
This dangerous man, with a severe and enduring mental illness, whose risk to the public was well documented, simply walked out of prison and disappeared.
Just feel, the lack of public protection is frightening, really.
We have had a very threadbare mental health services for many, many years, very underfunded. We don't have the hospital beds and units available. The same sad listening of failures has led to some tragedies, and the lessons simply don't seem to be learned.
Saad was jailed for life for manslaughter. The victims of his attacks and their families will live with what happened forever. Kronaki, BBC Midlands Today, Birmingham.
Police have named a teenager who was fatally stabbed in a park in Wolverhampton. 17-year-old Harley Hepworth was found dead in West Park yesterday afternoon. The park remained closed today to allow officers to carry out forensic searches. Police have also been going house to house, and extra patrols will be on duty in the area to offer people reassurance over the next few days. An investigation is underway after sewage was spilled from a pumping station onto farmland at Morton-on-Lug in Herefordshire. The spill was reported to Welsh Water and the Environment Agency on Wednesday. The water company says the spill has now been stopped and that it's trying to establish the cause. 53 swimmers have helped complete a 36-hour charity relay swim, which came to an end in Dudley tonight in memory of West Midlands firefighter Ian Hughes. The 42-year-old lost his life while attempting to swim the English Channel last summer. His friends and family were keen to continue his fundraising work to honour his memory. Together they swam more than 67 miles, raising more than £9,000. A Birmingham man who turned his life around after being kicked out of school has made a new interactive film to warn young people against a life of crime. It's set in West Bromwich and follows the story of a young man who's desperate to become a rapper but finds himself being tempted into making some potentially unwise choices. Raheem Omar reports.
From Handsworth to Hollywood, with the help of big movie industry experts, students at Walsall College are using a new interactive inner-city drama on their phones. Throwing you into the world of college student Lawrence, it's up to the user to make the right choices, steering him away from criminality.
Lawrence is a young boy who wants to be a rapper. This is an opportunity to see what would happen in Lawrence's life if you decide to take an educational route, or if you decide to take a quick route, which will be working with Tommy going into drug dealers.
But how have students experienced using the app themselves? And could it really work to stop others like them making wrong decisions?
If you're watching the consequences unfold, it's sort of, I feel like it could be quite eye-opening, and also watching your decisions, like you get less and less control.
We could relate because obviously in our real life, day-to-day, challenges, we have to overcome good and bad choices and decisions.
Luke Cato from Handsworth is the brains behind the app. Permanently excluded from school and arrested several times as a teenager, it was his life that inspired the character Lawrence.
Lawrence is a mini version of me. Some of the experiences that he's gone through, it's from things I've witnessed myself, experienced myself, or it's happening within my community. I've always been a dreamer, knowing that I could achieve something great, and I want to inspire people. I've just got this burning desire to inspire and help people. So I think it just got to a point where I just want to make that decision to be a better version of me.
Raheem Omar, BBC Midlands Today.
Well, the weekend's almost here. What is the weather going to do? Here's Becky.
Good evening. After plenty of dry weather this week, I'm afraid it is changing as we head through the weekend. There will be some more rain on offer, but as our wind direction changes slightly, we're going to start to feel a little less cold. Low pressure is firmly dominating. It's going to send weather fronts our way. Still a little bit of uncertainty as to how far some of this rain will get, but as for tonight, it is starting off mostly dry. Some clear spells, but the cloud will start to filter in, and there's a possibility we may start to get some drizzle working its way in from the south and east. Temperatures overnight, though, are holding up. The cloud is helping and the breeze, so we'll see lows of between 2 and 4 Celsius. So we start off tomorrow on a grey note, and then we have that rain working its way across us from the east. There will be some heavy pulses in there, and then a slice of something drier and brighter. Our temperatures tomorrow as well, doing a little better, highs of 12.
Could do with it to be a bit warmer. It's been so cold today. Right, I will be back at 20 to 6 tomorrow evening, so join me then if you can. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Good night. Next problem?